Okay, now I'm live from my Facebook page, Zulfakar Saadi, native of Sarawak. So tonight we will continue our Declassify Malaysia talk number 5. So actually there is already 4 talks on Declassify Malaysia that I have held it in this Facebook page and my personal Facebook page previously. Now I will transfer all the live stream in my Facebook page, Zulfakar Saadi, native of Sarawak. So everybody can watch all my video previously. It was in my YouTube also. I will upload in my YouTube. And this is the 5 series of Declassify Malaysia talk number 5. So we will start our talk on more or less 1 more minute. So everybody who can join. If you have any question that you have prepared before, you can just put it in the comment below. I will answer your question directly. If you ask directly here, I will answer it directly. Okay. So tonight the title is Rebuttal to Lokman Sharif, the meaning of Malaysia with legal documented evidence. So this is a rebuttal talks on the article or some post by Lokman Sharif about what is Malaysia, everything that he talked about Malaysia. I will rebut everything that he said based on the legal and constitutional document that we have in Malaysia. It's not hidden or something, because it's all available for all of us to access. So this topic was suggested by Rashid Mansour in Facebook. He suggested me to he comment previously that if I care to comment on Lukman article by Rashid Mansour. So thank you, Rashid Mansour. So I will review this very interesting opinion or article by Lokman Sharif on what is everything about Malaysia that he talked about. So I will review that one. It is very interesting, so that nobody will be very ignorant about the formation of Malaysia. So Lokman Sharif make his post on 1st September 2021 at 7:49 AM. So we will review what he said one by one. So this is what Lokman Sharif said in the first paragraph. What Lokman Sharif said. He said, tiap-tiap kali merdeka saya kena tulis ini. Maaf, tetapi ada sahaja kolumnis media kiri yang dangkal dan buta huruf. Mereka boleh baca sahaja perlembagaan dan MA63, tetapi sebab kemalasan, mereka sengaja mempromosi kedangkalan dan penipuan. Tagkan kolumnis-kolumnis media kiri ini kalau anda kenal. Asyik menipu, spin aja mereka ni. Fobia sangat 1957. Okay, that is what Lokman Sharif said. He said that all of us are ignorant and cannot read. I don't know why he said that. He said maybe he know more about MA63, but I will repeat what he said, his opinion. So that we know, is it he is lying or we are lying. So we presented with him all the facts, the section, article in all the documents. Okay, and then he said negara kita tubuh sejak 1957 dan bukan 1963. Get this right. Okay, dia cakap, he said Malaysia was formed in 1957 and not 1963. This is the case of very ignorance about the history of the formation of Malaysia and very ignorance with the formation of Federation of Malaya itself. So it is very simple. You look at the formation of Federation of Malaya. It starts with the election there, and then there is a Reid Commission in February 1957, and then this is for formation of Federation of Malaya. There is a process for the establishment of independent country that named Federation of Malaya. First, there is Reid Commission, the Constitutional Commission for the Federation of Malaya, not Federation of Malaysia. Reed Commission is for Constitutional Commission for Federation of Malaya. It was held from February 1957. And then on 31st July 1957, Federation of Malaya Independent Act 1957 was passed in the British Parliament. After that, 5 August 1957, the Federation of Malaya Agreement 1957 was signed by all the Sultan to transfer their rights to govern the country to the political party at that time, to the Executive Council. And then on 31st August 1957, the Federation of Malaya was established as an independent country. That is Federation of Malaya, not Malaysia. And then for Federation of Malaysia, it was start talking about the formation of Federation of Malaysia in 1961. There is a new process for formation of Malaysia. It involves the Federation of Malaya that is already independent, and then it involves the colonies of Sabah and Sarawak and Singapore. So these three states of Federation of Malaya and the colonies of Sabah, Sarawak and Singapore, they are federated. You look at Article 1 of Malaysia Agreement 1963. You don't need to look very far. The Malaysia Agreement have 235 pages. Just the first few pages, Article 1, it said what it said about Malaysia. It's clear. It said Article 1, the colonies of North Borneo and Sarawak and the state of Singapore shall be federated with the existing states of the Federation of Malaya as the states of Sabah, Sarawak and Singapore in accordance with the constitutional instruments annexed to this agreement, and the federation shall thereafter be called Malaysia. So it's simple. Article 1. At first it said North Borneo, Sarawak and the state of Singapore. North Borneo and Sarawak is a colonies. State of Singapore already served government at that time. Colonies. He said Sabah and Sarawak is colonies. Yes, we are colonies at that time. But after we are federated with the Federation of Malaya, we become states of Sabah, Sarawak and Singapore. Once we are federated, Federation of Malaya, federated with the colonies of Sabah, Sarawak and the state of Singapore. After that, as states of Sabah, Sarawak and Singapore, we become states after the formation of Malaysia. So the purpose of formation of Malaysia is actually for the decolonization of Sabah and Sarawak, which is we are first, before federated with Federation of Malaya to form Malaysia, we still colonies. After we are federated, we become states. We become another stage of decolonization we achieve at that time, which is self-government. If you look at UN Resolution 1541, it is called as self-government for Sabah and Sarawak. And then for formation of Malaysia, there is another process, different process than formation of Federation of Malaya. First, we have London Talk 1 in 1961, and then we have Cobalt Commission, and then we have London after Cobalt Commission, and before the Cobalt Commission was released, there is a checker formula which is very crucial to ensure that Malaysia can be formed, because at that time Tunku Abdul Rahman already give up about Malaysia. Federation of Malaya, they give up about Malaysia at that time, and then Macmillan and Duncan Sandys from the British come up with a checker formula to bring back Tunku Abdul Rahman and the government of Federation of Malaya to the negotiating table, and then they agree, and then the Cobalt Commission was released. After Cobalt Commission, we have London Talk 3 and London Talk 2. After London Talk 2, we have IGC report, and then after IGC report, we have London Talk 3. After London Talk 3, and then we have Malaysia Agreement signed in 9 July 1963. After Malaysia Agreement 1963, we have Malaysia Act 1963 Chapter 35, which was passed in the British Parliament on 31st August 1963. And then we have Malaysia Act 1963 number 26, which was passed in the Federation of Malaya Agreement, Malaya Parliament on August 1963, and then we have Amendment of Malaysia Agreement 1963 on 28 August 1963, and then we have Supplementary Agreement on 11 September 1963, which is involved Federation of Malaya, Singapore, and the British only. That is Supplementary Agreement on 11 September. And then we have UN Resolution 1541, the report, UN Malaysia Mission Report on 14 September 1963. And then we have Malaysia Day on 16 September 1963, on which a new Federal Constitution of Malaysia have been formulated. So, and then that is the process. The formation of Malaysia is, they go to all of this process. I know it's not being taught in history, in our history secondary school, even in the university also not. We are not taught about this one. So we need to figure it out ourselves so that you can find the truth. All these documents that detail everything about the formation of Malaysia, which is completely different from the formation of Federation of Malaya in 1957. In 1963, we formed a new federation, where Federation of Malaya federated with the colonies of North Borneo, Sarawak, and the state of Singapore. And then once we are federated, and then we become Malaysia, and Sabah and Sarawak become states. From colonies, we become states. So the purpose of Malaysia is to decolonize Sabah and Sarawak in the form of a new sovereign state. We call it Malaysia. So we have a privilege to go to decolonization process in a sovereign environment, compared to other countries that they need to go to the decolonization process as colonies. So this is a new system by the British, new precedent actually, to how decolonization process are happening for Sabah and Sarawak. We are being transferred. Our sovereignty was transferred to Malaysia, not Malaya. Sabah and Sarawak sovereignty is not transferred to Malaya and then renamed Malaysia. No, our sovereignty was transferred to Malaysia. It is based on Malaysia Act 1963, Chapter 35, passed by the British. And they mentioned it many times in the declassified document that the transfer of sovereignty of Sabah and Sarawak was transferred to Malaysia, not Malaya. So that we become a new state that go to the decolonization process in a sovereign environment. That is the purpose of Malaysia. Okay, and then this Luqman said, what is his name again? Luqman Sharif said, there is no new constitution. He said there is no new constitution when Malaysia was formed. Okay, let me tell you how the constitution of Malaysia was being formed. I have talked about this, how Malaysia constitution was formed in my previous talk in the first and second, I think, about how the Constitution of Malaysia was actually formed based on the Constitution of Federation of Malaya. If you look at the IGC report, the Committee Federation of Malaya, representative of North Borneo, Sabah, which is Sabah, Sarawak, and UK in the IGC report, they are examine the Constitution of Federation of Malaya. They are not copy paste Federation of Malaya Constitution. They examine the Constitution of Federation of Malaya. After they examine the Constitution of Federation of Malaya, so they agree, all of these people agree, Malaya, Federation of Malaya, Sabah, Singapore, and UK, they agree that there will be amendment including transitional provision and all the requirement of North Borneo and Sarawak, especially the special safeguard, special interest and special safeguard for Sabah and Sarawak will be inserted and annexed in the Constitution of Federation of Malaya. It looks simple, very simple. It's only one sentence or two sentences like that, but actually all the special safeguard and the amendment, it's hundreds of it, to the point that Constitution of Federation of Malaya that we are examining and being instituted for amendment, it is almost unrecognizable because a lot of schedule has been amended, new article has been inserted, and then there is transitional provision that you need to read separately with the Malaysia Act 1963 number 26. There is Annex A of IGC report which give the condition, everything. All of this stuff have been put into the new former federal Constitution of the Federation of Malaya. It's not very simple. Oh, you just need amendment. Sekali British buat, beribu, ratus amendment made by the British. So it's new constitution for Malaysia has been formed where it meet the requirement of the North Borneo, Sarawak and Singapore at the time. And then a lot of people said as if the Constitution of Federation of Malaya was used as a template, you copy paste everything. You know, after all this discussion in the IGC report, the report, the IGC report, which detail out all the amendment and the special safeguard for Sabah and Sarawak that will be inserted into the federal constitution, it was led in the Council Negeri of Sarawak and the Legislative Council of North Borneo. So, what does that mean? After IGC finished the report, that report was laid down in the Council Negeri of Sarawak and Legislative Council of North Borneo. That means we are giving permission to use that new amendment and the Constitution of Federation of Malaya to be used as some kind of template for the new Constitution of Malaysia. We are giving permission for that one. We are not being imposed with the Constitution of Federation of Malaya. Actually, the Federation of Malaya, they ask for our permission to use that Constitution of Federation of Malaya, and then we agree. But what we agree is it is subject to all the amendment and provision that will safeguard the special interest of the Sabah and Sarawak. It's a very long amendment, 235 pages of Malaysia Agreement 1963. Can you imagine how many amendments have been made? After the Sabah and Sarawak agree with all the IGC report at that time, and then Federation of Malaya amend the federal constitution. If we are not agree, Federation of Malaya, so we will not use Constitution of Federation of Malaya. It is subject to our agreement. So don't twist this all process around. Okay, I have talked about the process of how the new Constitution of Malaysia was formed. It first from London Talk 1, and then Cobalt Commission, and then London Talk 2, and then IGC report, London Talk 3, Malaysia Agreement 1963, Malaysia Act 1963, Chapter 35, Malaysia Act 1963, number 26, and then Amendment of Malaysia Agreement 1963 on 28 August 1963, and then there is Supplementary Agreement on 11 September 1963, and then UN Resolution Mission Report on 14 September 1963, and then Malaysia Day on 16 September 1963, and then we have new federal constitution of Malaysia. You think it's very simple? All this process, there is very detailed process, long process, very grueling process. A lot of time, 3 times Malaysia almost collapsed, and it was saved by Duncan Sandys many times. Otherwise, there will be no Malaysia. 3 times Tunku Abdul Rahman almost give up about formation of Malaysia. Sabah and Sarawak is not giving up. It's Abdul Rahman, Federation of Malaya, that the one that almost give up on the formation of Malaysia. The one that saved Malaysia is British, Duncan Sandys. He is the man that from saving Malaysia a lot of time. And then, okay, we go to the next statement by Luqman Sharif. He said, Sabah and Sarawak masuk Malaysia pada 1963 dan kita tukar nama. Actually, this is again the same thing. You look at Article 1 of Malaysia Agreement 1963. We have a 12th article on Malaysia Agreement 1963. At the first few pages, just Article 1, it said Sabah and Sarawak is not join Malaysia, not masuk Malaysia. No documents. Which document said Malaysia, Sabah and Sarawak masuk Malaysia? No such thing where Sabah and Sarawak masuk Malaysia. You look at the Article 1. The colonies of North Borneo and Sarawak and the state of Singapore shall be federated with the existing state of the Federation of Malaya as states of Sabah, Sarawak and Singapore. We are federated. So, the system that we are federated here has been confirmed by UN Resolution 1541 as the integration process. So, this is we must remember. This is different from free association. There is another process for forming of federation or whatever, where people union of other country, they form it based on free association. But Malaysia was formed based on integration, where colonies federated with the independent state. Like Federation of Malaya already independent, so we Sabah and Sarawak still colonies, and then we are federated. That process is called integration in UN Resolution 1541. We are federated, not masuk what is these people still talking about Sabah and Sarawak masuk Malaysia? How are we going to masuk Malaysia if Malaysia is only formed on 16 September 1963? It doesn't make sense. And then he said we just change the name dan kita tukar nama. And this is what Luqman said. Nama Malaysia membawa maksud land of the Malays. Okay, Malay plus Sia or Latin Greek suffix. So Sia mean land land in Greek. So Malay lands, Malaysia. That is what his opinion. Sebelum itu nama kita Tanah Melayu atau Malaya. Tak kira apa motif tukar nama, Sabah dan Sarawak join Malaysia sebagai salah satu negeri dalam Malaysia. Bukan satu buah negara baru terbentuk. Sebab itu kita lihat bendera kita ada jalur merah putih yang sama lebar untuk menunjukkan kesamarataan negeri-negeri yang termasuk Sabah dan Sarawak sama dalam jatah negara. Semua ini adalah federasi negeri-negeri yang membentuk Malaysia. So there is a lot of ignorance here about the name Malaysia. So this is, I will tell you this new information tonight. I have posted it in my YouTube, I post it in my Facebook, but if I talk to you like this, it's easily for you to digest and understand. So, at first, I want to correct that. He said, sebelum itu nama kita Tanah Melayu. Not Tanah Melayu. Federation of Malaya is Persekutuan Tanah Melayu. That is a Federation of Malaya. He said, sebelum itu nama kita Tanah Melayu atau Malaya. If you look at the constitution, Federation of Malaya and Malaya is a different thing. A lot of people don't know this. Federation of Malaya is that 11 states of Malaya. 11 states of Malaya. That is Federation of Malaya. Our partner right now. States of Malaya. That is Federation of Malaya 1957. But Malaya means different thing. You look at the Interpretation Ordinance Act 388 and Constitution of Singapore. What it mean by Malaya? Malaya means Federation of Malaya plus Singapore. That the whole peninsula, including Singapore, that is Malaya. Get it? That is Malaya. Federation of Malaya and Singapore, that is Malaya. But the only 11 states of Malaya, 11 states, that is Federation of Malaya. If you put Singapore, that become Malaya. So Federation of Malaya is the 11 state of Malaya. Malaya is Federation of Malaya and Singapore. So it's a different meaning, different geographical area. So get it right. So even this person also don't know what is Malaya. So he said Singapore also in this area. Okay, now we gave him the answer. What is Malaysia? The meaning of Malaysia. First, we look at paragraph 10 of IGC report. Okay, the federation, the new federation. Paragraph 10 of IGC report. Paragraph 10 IGC report. This report has been agreed by Federation of Malaya, Sabah, Sarawak and UK. So Federation of Malaya also agree with this paragraph 10. So the federation will consist of the states of the existing Federation of Malaya, Sabah, Sarawak and Singapore, and also if agreement is reached on the admission of Brunei, that state, the name of the federation shall be Malaysia. So the new federation will be named Malaysia. So that is what being taught in IGC report. Federation of Malaya also agree that the new name of the new federation after Federation of Malaya, Sabah, Sarawak and Singapore federated, the name will be Malaysia. Now we look at Malaysia Agreement 1963. Article 1. That the same thing that I said just now. The colonies of North Borneo and Sarawak and the state of Singapore shall be federated with the existing states of the Federation of Malaya as the states of Sabah, Sarawak and Singapore in accordance with the constitutional instruments annexed to this agreement, and the federation shall thereafter be called Malaysia. The federation thereafter shall be called Malaysia. So the new federation, not Federation of Malaya, the new federation after Federation of Malaya, Sabah, Sarawak and Singapore combined together, thereafter this new federation will be called Malaysia. Okay, we still get the same thing. The new federation called Malaysia. Now we look at section 4 clause 1 of Malaysia Agreement 1963, which is Annex A of Malaysia Bill. In Malaysia Agreement, it is in Annex A, section 4:1. The federation shall be known in Malay and in English by the name Malaysia. So we get more information. The name of Malaysia is the federation after the Federated of Federation of Malaya, Sabah, Sarawak and Singapore. And then that the name of the federation will be known in Malay and also in English as Malaysia. Not Tanah Melayu, not whatever he said. So in Malay and English will be called Malaysia. And then I will go directly, and then this section 4 has been inserted as article 1, section 1 of the new federal constitution of Malaysia. So you look at article 1, clause 1, the federation shall be known in Malay and in English by the name Malaysia. So the name of Malaysia, either in Malay or in English, will be Malaysia, not Tanah Melayu. Either you want to translate the Malay or English, Malaysia. In Malay, Malaysia. You translate, you open the dictionary, Malaysia in Malay, open in English dictionary, in English also, Malaysia. So that is what it means. Okay, but the problem is that when we want to form Malaysia, there is a proposal in the Cobalt Commission. Even before the Cobalt Commission, there is this proposal for the name of the new federation is Malaysia. But what happened is that this Malaysia in 1961, in 1960 to 1961, it was popularly translated into Melayu Raya or Great Malaya. It is not called Tanah Melayu like Lukman said, but actually Malaysia in 1960 and 1961, common people, not in the dictionary, common people call it Melayu Raya. They call it Melayu Raya or Great Malaya. So because of this one, the one that opposed with the use of the name Malaysia is come from Sarawak. Mostly come from Sarawak. It was recorded in the Cobalt Commission. Sarawak people is the one that opposed with the name Malaysia. We even proposed a new name actually for Malaysia at that time. We proposed Bobu Sina. If you look at the Council Negeri of Sarawak Hansat, we even proposed Bobu Sina. Bobu Sina mean all the name of Singapore, Brunei, everything, Borneo, they combine together and become Bobu Sina. But that name is not used. But the one that opposed with the use of the word Malaysia is come from Sarawak. Why Sarawak opposed with the name Malaysia? Because in 1960 and 61, the people commonly translate is into Melayu Raya or Great Malaya. Sarawak don't want that one, don't want that translation. And then because of this opposition, like I said previously, what is Cobalt Commission? Cobalt Commission get the view of the people. All this view has been assessed. Either you don't agree or agree with condition, they will come up with recommendation to form Malaysia. So Sabah in Sarawak, we don't agree with the name Malaysia will be translated into Melayu Raya. So because of that opposition from Sarawak, Cobalt Commission come up with recommendation. So that based on that recommendation, Malaysia can be formed. So what is recommendation for this case? So I read it. Everybody can find it in the Cobalt Commission. You look at paragraph 148D. So you look at Cobalt Commission report, paragraph 148D. So I will read it for you here, a bit long. So we encounter some opposition to the name Malaysia, particularly from a number of non-Muslim elements of the population in Sarawak. This opposition stems from the same cause as the anxiety about religion, language, and the head of federation, with which we'll deal elsewhere in this section. They all reflect the fear held by the non-Malays and non-Muslim that the effect of Malaysia will be to put them in a position inferior to that of the Malays and Muslim. We cannot see, however, that any other name would be appropriate in view of the geographical historical relevance of the name Malaysia and its wide current usage. We believe, moreover, that in fact objection to the name would not persist for long. We recommend, however, that the word Malaysia should be generally incorporated into the Malay language. At present, it is widely translated into Malay as Melayu Raya. So here, the recommendation from Cobalt Commission is that the word Malaysia will become a new word in the Malay language. It doesn't mean Melayu Raya. Do you understand that one? The word Malaysia will become a new word inserted into the dictionary of Malay language. So it will become a new word. Malaysia is Malaysia. No more and no less. It's not Tanah Melayu, it's not Melayu Raya. So Cobalt Commission give that recommendation. And then you look at the Annex A. This is more clear. Annex A of interim report of Cobalt Commission. This is from declassified document. Declassified document CAB 134/1951 GM 6215 on 2nd July 1962. So in Annex A of interim report of Cobalt Commission, you look at the item 6, the name. So this is what written. This interim report also have been agreed by Federation of Malaya. What he said, Malaysia alright for the name of the new federation. Malaysia is alright. The name Malaysia is alright, but should have a Malay translation which does not mean Great Malaya. You see, in this interim report, which is agreed by Federation of Malaya itself and agreed by the British, they agree that Malaysia will not mean Melayu Raya. Malaysia will not mean Great Malaya. So it's clear, Malaysia will be a new word in the Malay dictionary. It means Malaysia. So that is Malaysia. It's not Melayu Raya. It's evidence there in the documents that said even Federation of Malaya itself agree that Malaysia is not Great Malaya. Malaysia is not Melayu Raya. Federation of Malaya give that assurance. They in written in the interim report. So Luqman Sharif said, Malaysia, if Luqman Sharif doesn't agree that Malaysia doesn't mean Melayu Raya, so Luqman need to ask Federation of Malaya lah, why they agree that Malaya will not mean Great Malaya or Melayu Raya. So it is actually Federation of Malaya that agree, and United Kingdom agree. They are together agree that Malaysia is a new name, will be inserted into the Malay dictionary and the English language also. That will be a new name, and the meaning will not mean Melayu Raya. It will not mean Great Malaya. Agree by Federation of Malaya itself. Okay, and then he said, sebab it, this is what Luqman said, the third paragraph that he said. Maybe we'll talk a bit longer tonight. Okay, okay. The third, maybe I talk about this, the third and the last one, the third paragraph, and then we can continue tomorrow. The third paragraph that he said is, sebab itu pada asalnya Sabah dan Sarawak patut join 31 Ogos. Tetapi sebab konfrontasi ia ditangguh kepada 16 September. Sejak dulu termasuk Singapura kita sambut 31 Ogos saja. Okay, he said 31st August was postponed because of the confrontation. So that 31st August Malaysia Day has been changed to 16 September. It was not because of confrontation. Confrontation is after 16 September. So what happened on 31st August? Why Malaysia was postponed? Because there is a UN Malaysia mission report that assess the wishes of the people relating with the election in Sarawak. They go to Sarawak and Sabah to check the election in Sabah and Sarawak and consult the legislative, executive council, legislative assembly, everything like that, to see if the wishes of the people for decolonization process, the formation of Malaysia, follow the UN Resolution 1541. That is the reason 31st August Malaysia Day have been changed to 16 September 1963. It's not because of confrontation. Confrontation after formation of Malaysia after 1963, after 16 September 1963. So this is completely salah what he said, completely wrong. And he said, sejak dulu termasuk Singapura kita sambut 31 Ogos saja. Singapura celebrate Malaysia Day. Since when did Singapura celebrate 31st August? If you look at the picture in Google, everything, Singapore celebrate 16 September 1964, the first anniversary of Malaysia in 1964. But in 1965, Singapore already separated from Malaysia. Not keluar Malaysia, it's separated from Malaysia, Singapore. So on 1964, Singapore celebrate 16 September 1964, formation of Malaysia, not 31st August. Okay, I think that's all for tonight. Maybe I will continue tomorrow on another statement from him. It's actually not finished. There is 3 more statements from this guy. So I check the comment first. I hope everything will be clear on that one. So what is the comment? I need to scroll first. Why is this scroll is very bad in what is the best way for Sarawak to leave the federation like Singapore? By Patrick Teo Kwang Kim. Okay. What is the best way for Sarawak to leave the federation? The best way is you look at the UN resolution, UN mission report, UN United Nations Malaysia mission report dated 14 September 1963. So this UN report is crucial that confirm that Sabah and Sarawak is under the process of decolonization under Resolution 1541. So what is the one that checked by the UN mission at that time? The one what has been checked by the UN mission in 14 September 1963, and the report confirmed in the report, what they check is the result of the election in Sabah and Sarawak. You know, we have a election before we form Malaysia in Sabah and Sarawak, and that election was based on adult suffrage. You know, the British are very smart. Before UN came, they already make amendment to Constitution of Sarawak and Sabah, so that the adult suffrage have been reached, so that it comply with UN Resolution 1541. So when we have election at that time, all the adult suffrage population, adult suffrage people that have political maturity, that is the easy to tell you guys, the adult suffrage franchise, we call it, adult suffrage franchise of the population that can make a proper decision on their political future. So amendment have been made in the constitution of Sabah and Sarawak, and then when we go to the election, that adult suffrage have been reached when people make their election. And the UN, when they came, they assessed the election in Sabah and Sarawak, and based on that election, they confirmed that most of the population in Sabah and Sarawak agree to form Malaysia. Of course, we have all the special safeguard, everything, something like that, in when we form Malaysia. The UN assessed that election. So based on that election, they know that Sabah and Sarawak agree to form Malaysia. So how to leave the federation? You do the same thing based on the election. So you must elect the people based what is their manifesto. You elect the people, and that political party become government if they want to leave Malaysia or whatever, or they want to complete the decolonization process by leaving Malaysia. So through the election. So UN mission already tell you how to do it based on election. They assess based on election. If you want to separate from Malaysia, also UN maybe come again, and then they assess again, and then they confirm it based on the election. So the election will decide our future. The election in Sabah and Sarawak. Who you put as the government of Sabah and Sarawak, political party that you elected as the government of Sabah and Sarawak, that will decide the future of Sabah and Sarawak. That is how the constitution in almost all the British colonies works. The British, they are respect the this system of democracy. If the British cannot respect the system of democracy that they give to Sabah and Sarawak, their own democracy in UK will collapse. So they must respect if the 2/3 of majority in the Dun of Sabah want to separate it some way. I don't know how if they want to make a separation agreement, if they want to unilateral declaration or whatever, or they make a agreement with Federation of Malaya to leave Federation of Malaysia. However, that new political party that form the government of Sabah and Sarawak, whatever they want, if they want to leave Malaysia, the UK will respect that one, because that is the British that one that provide that kind of democracy in their colonies. They will respect that one, the decision by the local council. It's happened everywhere in the world. The British will respect all the decision by the local council in each of their colonies. And then 4,000. Okay. It's very difficult to scroll this one. Can we approach you? Are you willing to speak in public and stand as candidate in whichever party you may wish? So sorry, I'm not interested to what we call to become a candidate for political party, but I can work with any political party that want to fight for the right of Sabah in Sarawak. So 4,000 people representation at that time is suffice. Yes, we can quit using election. Thanks for the enlightenment. So this Peter Chua asked 4,000 people representation at that time. Actually, that 4,000 people is UN come, they check election. They are not. That is different mission. UN mission and Cobalt Commission is a different mission. Cobalt Commission is to check the view of the people, and then IGC report, and then Malaysia Agreement, and then formation, and then Malaysia Agreement, and then UN mission, and then Malaysia Day. So UN mission and Cobalt Commission is a different thing. Don't mix it up. So about this 4,000 people is more actually 4,200 people, I think. This is the number of representatives doing the oral evidence during the Cobalt Commission, 4,200 something like that. They are representatives that give oral evidence during the Cobalt Commission. So Cobalt Commission, they make hearings in all districts of Sabah and Sarawak in 50 hearings. 50 hearings in all districts. At that time, we don't have many districts in Sabah and Sarawak. We have so there is 50 hearings on in 35 center in Sabah and Sarawak. So what the people that came is 4,000 people. It is, if you look at the number, 4,000 is not many number, but that 4,000 people, one person they came represent political party. From one person represent one political party. How many people he represent during the Cobalt Commission? All the people that already tell this representative what they want, this representative have to convey it to the Cobalt Commission. So he might talk on behalf of 1,000 people, that one person. And then there is another person, maybe he come from trade unions. Maybe he represent 500 people, and there is a native chief of in Sarawak from certain village. Maybe he represent 800 people. So from 4,000 people, each of that person that came, they are representative of a group of people, not only for himself. That is Cobalt Commission. The one that come, that give oral evidence, one person represent maybe 100 people. Another person maybe represent 50 people. And then maybe that one person that came that give oral evidence is the head of the village. So he represent 300 people. So from 4,000 representative, the number of people that actually become for hundreds of thousands actually. If you understand the Cobalt Commission and all the number that was given. This is all based on social science. This is based on what we call cluster sampling. When you do social science, when you try to collect the information from the people, there is random sampling, snowball sampling. For example, you have a questionnaire and a population. You will not ask the whole population to answer that questionnaire. You only take a sample of the population. From 1,000 population, maybe you take 200 of people to answer your questionnaire. Sufficient to get the information. The same thing with Cobalt Commission. You get the maybe 600 people in Sarawak, 600,000 people. You just take 4,000 people that may be representative of much higher people, a group of people, to give their opinion and view about the formation of Malaysia. That's why if the people that don't understand all the number given in the Cobalt Commission, then they don't know how to do the social science type of sampling. There is random sampling, stratified sampling, everything like that. Okay. Any more question? I think that's all for tonight. Okay, there is another question. Petitio Kuang Kim. So, if the requirement of MA63 was not included in the Federation of Malaya 1953, so can we say the Federation of Malaysia formed thereafter is invalid, bearing in mind that Sarawak was ignorant at the time? Oh, everything. This is the problem is you don't, like I said, there is a process, constitutional arrangement. That constitutional arrangement, there is a process where you first Cobalt Commission get the wishes of the people. That wishes of the people have been assessed, and that assessment make the IGC report. All the government will discuss together, barter everything, negotiate everything, and then they come up with IGC report. And this requirement, the safeguard, all the for Sabah and Sarawak have been input into the IGC report. This IGC report was bring to the local council of North Borneo and Council Negeri of Sarawak, and then it passed in the Council Negeri. After passed in Council Negeri, it was passed in the Federation of Malaya, and then it became Malaysia Act 1963 number 25. And then we have Malaysia Agreement 1963 have been signed. All these rights have been inserted in the Federal Constitution of Malaysia. All has been inserted in the Federation of the new Federal Constitution of Malaysia. So it's valid. What is there invalid? All happen based on the legal and constitutional procedure. It's nothing. Oh, why is like this? everything everywhere in the world when Malaysia was formed is like that also, more or less like this. When in the Africa there is also a constitutional commission, there is a negotiation for how the constitution will be formed. In the Caribbean, in the Mediterranean, the same process, generally the same process. This is, if you need to understand how the process of the constitution has been formed, so that you can understand where our rights have been inserted in the new federal constitution. So the process of Malaysia agreement inserted inside the new federal constitution is through Malaysia Act 1963 number 25. This one is passed by the Federation of Malaya itself. They are the one that agree that all these rights will be implemented in the federal constitution of Malaysia. So all our rights is already in the federal constitution of Malaysia. It is in the highest legal body in Malaysia. Whatever in the federal constitution is enforceable. So what more that you want? What we want now is the implementation and to amend all because of all the breach that we already find. So a lot of breach we got in detail already. Okay. What is this? Yeah, Muhammad Nazrin. Sarawak, Sabah and Singapore forming the Federation of the Malaysia Federation. Bukan masuk Malaysia sebab tidak apa-apa yang nak dimasuk. No Sabah, Sarawak, Singapore, Malaya. There will be no Malaysia. Yeah, right. For this argument, you can just this Nazrin. You just tell Article 1 of Malaysia Agreement 1963. It said Sabah, the colonies of Sabah, Sarawak and the state of Singapore federated with the Federation of Malaya. We are not joined. We are not masuk. The word there clearly written in Article 1 of Malaysia Agreement 1963 that we are federated with the Federation of Malaya, and then we become states of Sabah, Sarawak and Singapore, and then we form that new the federation thereafter is called Malaysia. Okay, I think that's all for tonight. Everybody know I give the legal definition of Malaysia. Malaysia is Malaysia, Federation of Malaya and United Kingdom, and especially Federation of Malaya also already agree that Malaysia will not be translated into Greater Malaya or Melayu Raya, and Malaysia will be inserted in the dictionary as Malaysia, in Malay dictionary as Malaysia, in English also Malaysia. That is Malaysia. It is written in the interim report of the Cobalt Commission. I think that's all for tonight. If you have any question, you can put in the comment later on, or if you have any suggestion, you put in the comment. I will give the talk on any topic that you want, so that I can explain it to you, because sometimes I don't know what you don't know. You need to tell me what you don't know and what you want to know. Doesn't matter it's simple question or complex question or ignorant question. It doesn't matter. Just put in the comment. I will try to address it, and I will give you the evidence, document evidence, not newspaper. Newspaper is just some people writing whatever you want. So the legal document, constitutional document, I will show you all the evidence that nobody can rebut afterwards. Okay, I think that's all for tonight. This video also will be uploaded in my YouTube, Zulfakar Saadi, the Constitutionalist, later on. Okay, I think that's all for tonight. Thank you for watching. Good night. Okay, thank you. Welcome Nazrin. That's all for tonight. Thank you all.